I'm making a spiritual successor to Dragon Warriors Monsters 2. This is Realmwalkers. The game is being developed by a small team of 3, including myself. What you'll be seeing on the screen as I speak are the artistic visuals for the game. Although we've been inspired by classics such as DQM2 and other Monster-Tamers, we wanted to make sure we would have our own identity in terms of the artistic direction. I think the best way to go over everything that we've done thus far in terms of development and design choices is to break things down into smaller parts. So what we're going to go over are monsters, the world setting, and combat. And then we'll wrap things up with a few key features that we have planned for the game. Some that have been implemented on the programming side and some that we still need to work out kinks for. So quickly diving into the monsters, we have a list of monster types. And if you look at the screen right now, you'll be able to see the very first concept for the monsters that we had. And the concept was Treasure Goblin, and we ended up with what you see before you. The names of these creatures are from left to right: Dashlin, Luton, and Yinkai. They are, again, treasure goblins who love to look for anything valuable and collect gold coins as much as possible. And they have a more rogue type build to them. The next batch of monsters that I wanted to showcase was this winged horse family that prioritizes healing allies. From left to right, we named them Poli for a pony that is holy, medic horse for obviously a medic horse, and Claristeed, which is like a steed that is a cleric. As they grow, they become a little bit more adverse to watching violence, so they begin to shield their eyes from seeing the atrocities that they're inevitably going to try and reverse through their healing. And along with that desire to no longer see violence, they somehow grow a sixth sense for when violence is about to occur. So by the time that they reach their final stage of evolution, when they show up, it's well known that what's about to happen is about to be some catastrophic event or whatever the case may be, and they're showing up to be on standby as a sort of healer / referee type monster. This next batch of monsters has a branching evolution line inspired by bees. To the left you see Hunarva, who's the baby of the bunch, and depending on the gender of the monster, they grow to become a warrior or a worker within the hive. Some of the female Hunarvas can also gain a royalty trait that allow them to become queens. Then I want to pivot just a quick second to speak to the purpose behind these evolutions. We wanted to focus on like age groups, because with the monsters being the center of societies and things of that nature, we wanted to tell different stories that deal with family dynamics, as well as generational plots and storylines. So that's a huge thing for us as well. One of the more interesting things about our design choices for the game is that we want the monsters to be like individuals within the world. So another one of the cool things that we wanted to do was give them all different backgrounds. So the creatures will actually have traits, and if you're familiar with State of Decay, we're attempting to give them random backgrounds that affect the skills that they might learn or how they perform in combat or whatever field skills that they may have. That way there's like a more diversified team building and as well as the adventuring experience for the player. Every time they meet a different monster, they're in store for something different. Next, I wanted to quickly talk about the world setting. The game takes place in a fragmented world by the name of Adiran, taking the inspiration from DQM2 we wanted to focus on the player being able to travel between different worlds. And what we landed on was obviously the title Realmwalkers alludes to monsters being able to walk between realms. So we will be procedurally generating different realms that the player can traverse through via gates. There'll be different ways to find these different realms, but once they get there, it'll be procedurally generated, and there'll be a plethora of different monsters and quests and things of that nature. And we kind of want to go as deep as possible with this procedural generation, just because that's the one aspect of the classic DQM2 that was a bit lacking. They did as much as they could with the technology back then, but the worlds in retrospect are very light in terms of like depth. So we want to go really deep so that every player plays the game and they have their own unique experience and can create some really amazing memories playing the game. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the combat. By default, we want to just do a 4v4 format like a lot of classic RPGs, but we also want to be flexible with some of the formatting depending on the situation, the quest line that you're going through. And another pretty interesting aspect of the game's combat that I wanted to highlight is the fact that we are adding different win and loss conditions. This is all supposed to be tied to the quest situation that you're in, but we wanted to further challenge the player by ensuring that everything isn't as cloned or as typical as it normally is, in terms of like get in battle, beat all enemies, and then that's the win condition, or all of your allies fall and then that's the lose condition. We want to mix things up a little bit, like for example, there will be quests in which you have to actually heal a certain monster, and so you will actually go into battle and your goal is to heal them. There will be certain conditions that you actually have to somehow recover for them or refresh or whatever the case may be. So there are small little hurdles, but it's just to mix things up and keep things fresh. Like I said, all of this stuff is meant to be put together with the whole procedural generation. The more variables we have, the more opportunity we have for fresh experiences and playthroughs for each player. So that takes us through the quick overview of the major points that I wanted to hit with Monsters world setting and combat. And I wanted to sort of end the video speaking a little bit about some of the key features, some of the things I'm more excited about, because we're really trying to bring something refreshing to the monster-taming genre. And I hope you guys can get just as excited about some of these key features that I'll go over. I spoke a little bit about the procedural generation, so we'll skip that. But one of the things that I wanted to introduce to the monster-taming genre is something I will call Realm Wars. Essentially, the player, in their pursuit to, or their quest to become a Monster King, they'll have to start to sort of invade or take over different territories. Again, the whole procedural generation thing is meant to lead you into different realms. Those realms will have resources and creatures of their own, but you won't be able to partake in a lot of those things until you take over that realm. Some of the realms will be empty in terms of that nobody sits on the throne, and so you'll just be able to claim them so long as you can find a good place to claim the realm or whatever. But aside from that, your realms can also be invaded, so you'll have to actually fight off different armies, different factions of monsters who are trying to take over your realms. Aside from that, I wanted to talk about a spellcrafting system. I know it sounds convoluted, but instead of the typical, in addition to the normal means of a monster learning skills within the monster-taming genre, monsters will be able to level up through gaining experience, and every level that they get, they'll also gain a skill point. These skill points can then be used to craft their own moves. And if you're wondering how it works, we took a little bit of inspiration from Skyrim, in which the Dragonborn traverses the world and he finds different words to add to his dragon shouts, or thumes, if you will. So the player will be able to travel the world of Adiran and find different words that they'll be able to use to create different skills and spells. The thing that makes it more interesting is that it is a mix and match situation. So you can find maybe like 3 different words, and at the beginning you will only be able to make so many spells and skills, but every time you learn a new word, you'll be able to mix and match it with the ones that you already have. So the amount of spells that you can produce over time will just grow and grow and grow, adding to the flexibility of the monsters that you build. The last key feature that I wanted to quickly speak on was the monster ranking. I spoke very briefly about it earlier, in terms of the player trying to become a monster king. In order to get there, you actually have to move up through different ranks. They're tied to, you just doing different quests and gathering reputation. But you start off as a lowly pawn, and yes, they're inspired by chess pieces. But eventually you become a monster king, and at every stage you should be able to unlock some aspect of the game and be able to do more and more, because if you become a monster king, you're obviously also building a kingdom of your own. So your party members will be able to sort of be stored at your own kingdom, but they'll be able to do certain things depending on their level and their jobs and things of that nature. I'll save some of the more interesting things for dedicated videos, because I was just about to get into talking about the different jobs that monsters can have and how they influence the world and the player and things of that nature. But I think we can wrap it up there. All in all, I'm excited about going on this journey with you guys. One of the reasons why I wanted to make this video is because things are being cranked up a little bit on the development side. This next month we'll get down to the level designing, which means gameplay is right around the corner, and we'll start showcasing that very soon. And I wanted this whole journey to be more community driven, so I wanted to give people a chance to get involved. So we're starting a Patreon. If you guys would like to see this game come to life, please support. You'll get a plethora of different things in terms of playtesting, early keys, early access to demos, and behind the stage content in terms of what we're working on. And you'll be able to give us feedback and direct some of the monster concepts that we have as well. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys can be just as excited as me about this whole thing. And apologies if the video is very lax and not all that well edited. This isn't my forte, but it's the Devlog series, and I just want to be open and just talk about what we're doing. That's what it's for. So like, subscribe, and follow if you want more, and I'll see you guys in the next entry.